Hey everyone, John Henry here, Slingshot Futures Trading Group, SSFTG. Welcome to the video. In this one, we're going to be going over how to utilize news candles. Now, we may not have very many large news announcements anymore, but when they do happen, it's important to really take note of the response that the market had to them. So to really demonstrate that point, I'm looking at a more extreme news announcement, but this is the WASDE report that comes out monthly on the agriculturals. So here I have a chart of soybeans open, and in this case it's the November 21 contract at the time of recording this, but you can look up all the dates that these come out. I have them circled. If we zoom out far enough, you'll see there's a few more. This is the WASDE report, and we just had one come out not too far, a couple days ago. And when we have a WASDE report, and this goes for any major news announcement, what ends up happening is a huge amount of volatility. Now, why would that volatility be there, right? What did the news say? What did it have to do with what's going on? Well, we have to think about this from a logical perspective. With the news that's happening today, are people going to be trading off of last month's harvests, last month's numbers? No, they're going to be looking forward. So with the numbers that they're getting from the WASDE report, they're looking to position themselves until the next WASDE report, right? So when we're looking at this bearishness might be for right now, but at the same time, this could be projecting what is likely to come over the next month is a little bit more bearishness, or that would be the anticipation. So this creates a barrier at the top and the bottom of the candle, as well as the open and close of the candle, and it all comes down to the candle that you choose to use. I like the 15-minute charts. A 5-minute chart is totally fine. A 60-minute chart is totally fine. Really, any chart that you use because of the size of the news announcement, it doesn't really matter. It's going to encompass the whole thing anyway. So the very first thing that I want to do is highlight where's the top of that bad boy and where's the bottom. And those are going to be my major levels of support and resistance until next month, until this report comes out again. Now, why would I do that, right? That seems crazy. Let's go back to the last WASDE report. I've got that highlighted back here somewheres. There it is. If we take the high and low of this WASDE report and we look how it went further forward, we can see first off that the candle in and of itself suggests that there's a huge amount of indecision. There's a massive amount of wick on the top and the bottom with a slightly bearish body. So as far as projecting further forward, remember this is September 10th, so going further forward off of this, the anticipation is slightly neutral to maybe bearish just off of this one candle. When we get back up to the top then, this becomes a zone of resistance, and every time it pings off of it, that's where sellers are going to try to defend, until we get down to potentially the bottom or break above, etc. And these areas, when you zoom out really, really far and you look at the amount of support that comes in off of these, it's absolutely insane. This is why I pay attention to these types of things for, well, until the next news announcement comes out. And here we have the next news announcement. So it creates these massive barriers that can last months at a time, depending on how big the news announcement is. Well, maybe it's just a fluke, right? Let's go back and look at the last one before that. The last one before that was over here. The bottom of that candle was there. The top of that, that top of that candle was way the heck up here. And that was a very full-bodied bullish candle. So the assumption would be that the buyers are going to try to get this going. And if we can get towards the lows of it, that would be value, right? A bull bar buying at the lows of it, valuable. Right? That's the assumption at least. So we've got a couple different zones of interest. We've got buying pressure if we break above the 69.50s and keep going. Or if they want to pull back, we've got a zone of support down here. If this fails, that also tells us where the market's likely going to try to turn back around again. Hey, what do you know? Right? These areas are massive, massive zones of interest for months at a time. And sometimes when you'll see some things get very interesting when previous news announcements come into play with current news announcements, where they bounce off of one another, and then you start interplaying between the two news announcements. It gets absolutely crazy. But when we're looking at these give us massive objectives and areas of interest that we can look for as far as market continuation and just barriers. But we can also take this a step further and look at what is this telling us as far as projecting. If the market's going to break further up or further down, we can take this same measurement and project it further up and further down. And these will give us natural barriers later on that the market can try to target out to. And again, if we take this same concept and we look back at some of the previous areas of interest just to see how this works, when the market finally does decide to break up or down, we get these zones of interest that usually create, and this would be one of those times where a previous news candle interplays with the last level. This is a major zone of interest that the market is trying to bounce off of or reject off of. We saw the buyers come in. We have a nice attempt. They fail. They come back up on the next news announcement to allow the break-evens and then rolls back over. Now, again, this is WASDE on a monthly report. You could also look at something like crude oil on the inventories. That's another very common news announcement that comes out over and over and over again, very repetitively, and it comes out every single week. So it's a little bit different there, right? There's a lot of different approaches that you can take to this, but one thing is for sure, when you're looking at these news candles, the top and bottom become major levels of support or resistance until the next news announcement, and sometimes even longer. But we can also utilize them to create projections. How far is the market going to go? And if it goes past that, double that measurement. It's probably going to go 2 times as much. It makes our lives so much easier in what to anticipate next as far as the market is concerned and how it's moving. But that's going to do it for the overall kind of look at utilizing news candles. They're super useful on all fronts, but those are the primary ways that I take them into account. Of course, if you have any questions or suggestions or anything else that you'd like to see from the news or news candles, you can drop them in the comments below or shoot me an email, jhb@ssftg.com. Until the next one, rest up, enjoy, and we will see you all then. Thanks.